Hi, Lev.
Hi, Sébastien.
Thank you for being with us today for this new episode of Magic By. In terms of introducing you, it's very simple. I think you're the founder and the CEO of Fresh.
I'm a president, not the CEO.
Okay. So, at least you're the founder and probably the creative heart behind this brand.
Yes.
And on my side, I would simply say that for what I know, Fresh is probably one of the most creative brands in the industry.
Thank you.
And so in the discussion today, we're going to focus about creativity and ideas.
Yes.
That's really the part we're interested in. In this creativity world, for the sake of simplicity, we will divide it in 3 phases, which is your inspiration, the moment you have ideas, and how you select them. Inspiration. I know that you like, or I think I know, you like cooking a lot.
I have a restaurant and a bakery.
And do you see connections between the two? And would you say that cooking or baking would inspire you into making your product?
Completely. It's actually making fresh products inspired me to open bakery, because I think that there's a very strong connection in terms of how you formulate things. Baking is very precise science, and it's all about formulation. It's all about putting the right ingredients together.
So the bakery came from Fresh, and then does it give back in a way?
Oh yeah. Now it becomes a full circle because now when I create gems for the bakery, I'm starting to think about certain combination of ingredients together that I might be able to incorporate into some of our products.
And then if I'm just trying to make lines between the dots, and these 2 examples are very much linked to nature. Would it be a common theme that most of the ideas you would have are linked to that, a relationship to nature?
It's relationship to nature, yes, a lot. Obviously, our products are natural, and I'm very much connected to the nature. But I'm also always been very sensitive to smell, and always very sensitive to environment around me. It's very easy to trigger, inspiration. If I would be, for example, drinking sake and enjoying the moment of that, I would think to myself, why couldn't I take it further? Why couldn't I bathe in it? Sometimes when I eat a gem and I look at the gem and I think to myself, why can't I put it all over my face? So if I can create a product that has the same appeal and gives me that emotional sort of like experience at that moment and wanting to experience that whole sensorial part of that. Yeah. Why can't I create a product that can trigger the same type of emotion?
So the gem is another inspiration, right?
Yeah.
It's the inspiration of this product.
Vitamin nectar, exactly.
Vitamin nectar, yeah.
But it happens all the time. It doesn't matter. You can eat something and that inspires you. You could be in nature and that inspires you. You can watch a movie and something inspires you.
What about trips? Would you consider traveling a major source of inspiration?
Oh, of course. A lot of times you get inspired by travel, definitely. It depends. It definitely opens your mind in so many different ways. You have to be a citizen of the world to a certain degree in order for your ideas are not being limited. You are connected to everything. So travel definitely fuels it. It's like gives energy to your inspiration, to your idea.
And in that case, I believe you can make connection between some of your product and specific trips.
You know, the whole rice collection, outside of being inspired by sake and wanting to wash myself in it, it's very much inspired by Japan and geishas and their beauty rituals and that history and rice farmers and yes, definitely.
I'm not going to ask you to give advice, but let's talk to people that are not expert in beauty.
Yeah.
Would you say you need to be an expert to be creative in that field?
No. You probably know it better than anybody else.
Maybe I do.
I know, I think it really starts with passion. You know, so the inspiration, the idea, but you really have to be passionate about bring it to life. And it's an emotional process. So that's how it happens. I mean, it's not, you don't need to be an expert, you're becoming an expert once you're in it. But that love makes you an expert. I mean, if you talk about somebody who cooks, a chef, talented chefs, I mean, they just started cooking and they found love and they made life out of it. And I think that for me, it's exactly the same thing. You can definitely start with the passion and the ideas, and then you bring them to life and you just you become an expert in it yourself.
All these people doing presentations about trends.
My job is to detect the trends many years before they come, because if I start dreaming about the product 6 years ago, I better know what the trend is going to be by the time I launch it. It's a mindset. I mean, you sort of like, you develop sensitivity to not only starting to be in touch with yourself, but you are really connected to the world. But you know, I'm sitting here, I just want to tell you something completing, and I can't take it out of my head, and you see it even right now, I'm thinking about the idea about the product. So I've been sitting and I've been eating this fig, and just the way how it looks, it's pretty incredible. But if you open it up, right, and if you look at the inside of that, and you start thinking, that's all I could think about right now. How can I have maybe a product that have like a similar type of thing that you can dive into it?
Your team in your lab are going to love you for that.
You see? Yeah, I was inspired sitting right here.
Do you consider that having ideas is your main contribution to Fresh?
Yes, it's always driven by ideas, and sometimes there's too many of them, so you have to edit them. But it always starts with the idea,
yeah.
and the ideas are coming from everywhere. It happens in the moment.
So could we dig in that and really, I think in terms of first, maybe asking you about who. Are you having ideas when you're alone, when you are with a team, when you are with friends? What is the situation?
I think the whole process of idea and having a creative moment, there's no particular time or place. It just happens to you. I think it's an ongoing thing. You constantly thinking about things and ideas. The one example I use, it comes to my mind immediately now. I remember I was flying from Asia back to United States, and I was on a very long flight, and it was a very long trip. I was on the plane for maybe 14 hours, and I was maybe 2 hours away before landing, and I felt so dehydrated, I felt so tired. Just wanted to get out of the plane. And I remember I looked out of the window and we're flying above these beautiful clouds. And I felt like I wanted to open the window and jump into the clouds. Just jump into them because I needed all these beautiful air and humidity and I wanted to hydrate myself. I just imagined myself, can I just be in that beautiful environment of the soft clouds, so it could be so good, not only for my soul, but also for my body. So I remember when we finally landed, I had an immediate idea. I said, I think I'm going to create a mask that is going to be based on a cloud. And that's how I created our instant perfecting black tea mask. It has a cloud texture to it. And the idea of it is that when you put it on your face, it gives you the most optimal hydration. But that's how you have those moments, how it happens. It's almost like I was desperate for something and I felt like, what if I will recreate that moment that I dreamt about? And it's amazing that people today, when they use the product, the Instant Perfecting Mask, they refer to it as a cloud mask. So I think the idea really translated very well.
So in that case, that's a very specific moment, because being in a plane is a moment where your mind is at complete rest. Now it's different, but you used to not have the internet and you don't have your cell phone. So it's a very specific mindset. And it's also, you're describing a process that is very by yourself.
Right.
Do you have other example where actually it was in a group or in a more stimulated environment, or it tends to be mostly in this very calm moment?
It happens, most of the time it happens in a very calm moment, but it also, you never know when it really comes, because you could be also among people and then all of a sudden a certain color will trigger something in your head and you start dreaming about an idea of some kind. I mean, it could be a smell that, I could be in nature, and I also create fragrances. Yeah. So I would smell a beautiful flower coming from somewhere. I don't even know where it's coming from, and sort of like my not only mental but physical search begins to find that particular flower, and then the idea is born for the whole fragrance line, for example, right from that moment.
And then, this idea from this trip, the idea stays in your mind for a while and then suddenly you decide it becomes a product, or the next morning you decide it's a product?
It happens, that's it.
That's it.
It's so done. Nobody can convince me otherwise. It's just what it is. Once the idea hits me and once I am engrossed and enveloped in that, it becomes almost to the point of obsession, where I feel that there's just no way back. I can't take myself out of it. It's in my head all the time until I actually explore it and have it in front of me.
Do you like brainstorming?
Brainstorming is awesome, but the brainstorming starts also from an idea. The ideas are always part of the brainstorming, and sometimes also you can have an idea that starts in one place and it morphs into something else.
So it's a way to branch. It's a way to expand it in a way.
Exactly, and it starts in one place, and then as I could sit together with the team and share the idea with them, I could even have a feedback from my teams very, very often, and then all of a sudden the idea starts taking a shape that was not yet galvanized fully in my head. So it becomes, it starts having deeper substance to that.
Do you think you have one idea that you can point at and say that was the best idea for the brand,
I'll tell you, the best idea for the brand is when I started dreaming about Fresh. And that the best idea is that I wanted to create an emotional connection to the brand, that people will buy our products and it will be a truly feel-good beauty.
I am fascinated by what we see as, through your product, we see your belief and the fact that you will never accept someone to tell you that we will stop a product.
Yes.
How do you do that?
Passion, conviction.
So do you sometimes end up in the factory making it?
Yeah,
To
sometimes.
show them that it's possible?
Not even in the, I don't even make it as far as the factory. I work in a laboratory with my chemists and we just do it there. It's my sessions in the laboratory, we're cooking. We do it by the process of elimination until it works. But the thing is that I have a very clear idea where the product has to end. Once the idea is very clear in my head and it's fully galvanized, I feel it, I smell it, I know how the texture needs to be. A lot of times I would go through many different submissions of products because we'll mix a lot of different formulations and I'll open the cap and I'll look into the product. Just by looking at it, I know it's the right product. I don't even need to touch it at the moment, I just know it. There's something about it that just, to me, just comes to life and every single thing is right. Even if it's just a simple cream, just the color of the cream, it's the shining. I could feel the texture because I feel like I want to dive into it. I feel like I want to touch it. I know it's the right product. I just know it. That's really how it works, and I think that it's very, very helpful because you do see it. It's not being improvised in the process. It's being worked towards that. And sometimes it's not always easy fully to explain that. I just know when the moment is right and the product is right. It just, everything works. The texture, the fragrance, the whole sensorial experience is there, and then later on the result is there, of course. So.
Do you sometimes would rely on consumer panels?
No, I can't stand it.
You cannot stand that.
I never want to be affected by panels and what their opinions and what the statistics are, because with all my respect to it, and a lot of times it works, but it never works for me. What works for me is instinct, intuition, and conviction about how I feel about my idea, and that's what keeps me going. It's unchecked.
I understand consumer panels, but I would imagine there are maybe 1 or 2 people that you take feedback from.
Yeah, it's my team. I really, really trust my team. I think that they understand the brand so well and they respond to the things that I do, and a lot of them are involved in the process together with me. When I have an idea, I can't hold it inside. It's like an explosion. I gotta come and share it with them as soon as I possibly can. And they get excited with me, so they jump on the journey together with me. But they are my sort of like biggest feedback that I could get. But we don't run consumer tests.
The product that you will finally put on the market is a big evolution from the initial idea.
Sometimes not at all. Sometimes where it started to where it's ended up being, it could evolve, but not very often. And it just becomes a little dot in my head, and I know that it needs to grow bigger. And in order to do it, sometimes I need to share my idea, I need to verbalize it, I need to hear my voice, and then I could hear the feedback from my team, and that's how all of a sudden the idea becomes reality in my head, and it's could grow literally overnight from being just a little seed to become a little tree.
Could you actually, I'm very fascinated by the process you describe on, because for every product you point at, you can make a clear connection to when the idea happened.
Yeah.
Could we do that with the rose mask, for instance? Because I think it's a very intriguing product.
Yes.
And I'd leave it to you, that's your product.
It's a very special product to me. Rose has an endless history that connected to beauty in so many ways that you can go to even the days of Cleopatra and her famous, crazy, extravagant baths that she used to use the goat milk with endless roses. So, I mean, how can you make a rose mask without actually have real rose petals in it? That, to me, doesn't even come to mind. I don't even understand it. I mean, if you promising somebody an ingredient, I want people to immerse fully in it. So when I was thinking about the rose mask, the first thing came, how can I use real rose petals that going to be part of the formulations, and when you actually put it on your face and you massage it into your skin, the rose is just going to melt right into your skin. I mean, how amazing of an experience it could be.
And when, if you remember, when did you have this idea to make a rose mask?
Well, that was actually a little over probably 19 years ago. And it's, at the time, Fresh was really leading in bodycare. We had a lot of innovative products in bodycare. We had the brown sugar body polish, which was the first to the market, and introducing this ingredient. And then the milk products early on were also.
So you had the idea 19 years ago, and then the product was launched like a couple years after that?
It's one of the older products, and the craziest thing is that it's so relevant today.
When you have these ideas, do you have a filter that would put away an idea that you feel will not be possible to really implement because of cost or because of technical issues? Do you sometimes like self-filter? Never.
Never. I really, never. You know, it's even if you, even when you think about a certain product, like, again, we have the honey mask in Crème Ancienne, which is our other franchise that we make in the monastery by hand. I always wanted to have a pure honey mask, and that was very difficult to make. I've been thinking about it, I've been talking about it, coming back to it. Let's try it. Well, it didn't work this time. So maybe 15 years of conversation, it happened. So, and my team knows that when I usually put an idea on the table, and even if it's not going to happen now, they even laugh that here you go again. He's back with the idea that didn't work, but there was, time comes when technology allows you to do that. And I think that if you continuously excited about the idea and you have the image of it and it's so strong in your head, sky is the limit, it's going to happen. it's just going to happen.
Thank you very much for sharing all this with us.
Pleasure
It's
being
a
here.
great pleasure. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.